You are watching Abia Info, bringing you updates from God's own state.
Greatest Nigerian students, greatest of all great students, I want to say that I'm particularly thrilled to be here today. I decided to come here personally for two very, very important reasons. By this time yesterday, I was at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, where I served as chairman of a Ninjoko Memorial Lecture. And on Thursday, I hope to be at the University of Benin doing the same kind of thing that I am doing here today. But for me, to come here became a priority because I have come face to face with the kind of assault human activity has unleashed on our environment in the past 50 years. And as I was about to drift into despondency and confusion, I had the privilege of visiting a country that is lesser known in this climb called Rwanda. A country that just emerged from a very, very ugly history of genocide in 1994. Today, just a few years after that ugly incident, where they lost almost 50% of their population, I spent 4 days in Kigali, and we went there for a conference on telemedicine, and I had the privilege of presenting some of our strides and interventions in telemedicine in that space. But what struck me, and part of why I decided to come here personally, was that in all of those 4 days we spent in Kigali, we could not pick one piece of paper from the drainage in that city, not on the road, not on the streets. And I could not see one used sachet of what we call pure or poor water. And I decided to interrogate the situation. I asked people questions. Why is it so? The answer I derived from my inquiry will form part of our conclusion in this conversation today. So because I saw an African country, though smaller than Nigeria, but I saw a set of committed people, committed in leadership, committed in followership, all acting in consonance towards creating a better society for themselves. And it reinforced my hope and faith that if we can place all hands on deck, it is possible, even here in Nigeria. The second reason is that I think that my presence in this place will further reinforce and underline the importance of our environment to all of us. For me, this is very serious. It is not a jamboree, but it is a situation that is grave and calls for concerted effort from all quarters. This is the time we all need to beat a retreat, because we are living in a world that is on the precipice of destruction. It's either we self-destruct by our activities or inactions, or some of our activities will go ahead to destroy us, God forbid. The substance called plastic is well known to all of us. And like many other things around the globe today, statistics abound about how quantity, quality, and how they manage plastics in other climes except Africa. And it makes our situation more grievous, because we don't know how much we consume, we don't even know how to handle it. Plastic, as we all know, is an extraneous substance which is not naturally occurring. It is derived by the polymerization of ethylene and other such monomeric entity. The chemical structure of plastic renders them resistant to most biodegradation processes. And because we cannot handle them biologically, their staying power in our system is long and protracted. And because their staying power is long and protracted, coupled with the fact that people are innovating every day, businessmen, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, and all the soft drink companies are finding a way to package their products in a very beautiful way and yet cheap. They have all run to plastic packaging. So these two factors, pressure of volume that is pushed into the system, coupled with the fact that the ones that are available in the system cannot be handled by any natural method. Therefore, we have a preponderance or an increase in the level, quantity, style, and variants of plastics in our system. In UK alone, about 5 million tons of plastics are consumed each year, and only 24% of that number is recycled. The rest are disposed in landfills, in which case they may find their way into the soil or aquifer. Little wonder, some statistics indicate that as much as 90% of seabeds today contain plastic debris. The deleterious effects of plastic waste becomes even more profound when they are incinerated or burnt in the open field. Well, incineration is a more controlled method of burning wastes. But here in Africa, two things contribute to the way and manner we burn things, especially plastics. And the pattern we use, which is the open field burning, is far more dangerous than incineration. Because in open field burning, there is no control, the gases are emitted straight into the atmosphere, and every person that is around, whether plants, animals, and microorganisms, all partake of the evil broth that is cooked as a result of the toxic gases that are released whenever we burn plastics in the open field. We all know that here, our agriculture entails that from time to time we tend to burn the farmland. And the people that are burning are predominantly illiterate farmers in the villages. So we cannot run away from inhaling the toxic gases that are produced from all forms of plastics when they are burnt, either advertently or inadvertently. Whereas it is possible to control plastic handling in the developed world, in Africa and indeed Nigeria, more plastics are burnt and the rest are left to block our drainages, leading to flooding and utter pollution of our waterways. There are two broad categories of plastics for the purposes of this discussion: the primary and the secondary. The primary plastics are the ones that appear in the way they are, like the bottles, the cover of the bottles, and even our bedroom slippers. But the secondary plastics are the ones that are derived from somewhat marginal degradation of the plastics as they were before. And these are the ones that enter into the system through the soil or in the rivers. There are about 5 ways of handling plastics. The first one is reuse, in which case you are forced to reuse even the ones you have used before. You go to the market with your own plastic bag, and after making your purchases, you now bag them in that same plastic and go home. The following day you return to market with a plastic bag. But something is wrong with that method. The thing that is wrong is that it does not remove the volume that is already in circulation. What it does is to ensure that somehow many more is not pushed into the system. And to say that is to make a guesswork around it, because if, for instance, a trader had ordered 10 container loads of plastic bags, or a manufacturer has produced 10 container loads of plastic bags in Lagos, what he has in his warehouse is equivalent to 10 containers. So if you like, reuse the one in their house 200 times. The 10 containers that is in the warehouse must find its way into the system, either when the man is alive or long after he would have died. So reuse is not a solution in finality. Recycle. Recycle, yes, you can recycle plastic, turning it from one form to the other. But the major disadvantage is that what you do eventually is to reduce the tensile strength and the density of the plastic. So that at the end of the day, it gets subsumed into the system in the soil or ends up in the landfill. In which case again, you have not done anything to deal with the plastic in finality. In the landfill, plastic can over a long time, over many years, find its way into the aquifer. It can produce biphenyls. It can also produce greenhouse gases like carbon monoxide and nitrous oxide. But if you go ahead and incinerate under controlled circumstances, you will produce these gases, but you can ease them into the ozone layer, in which case it becomes dangerous to the ozone layer. But if you burn in the open field, what you are doing is to smoke yourself in the room. So that should not be an option at all. Then the only option that is left for us is to refuse it. And that is what they did in Rwanda. We must begin to think about the legislation around the use of the plastic sachets we use to bottle or package our water. Why are we packaging our water in such a way that after enjoying your water, 500 ml of water is about what can be contained in a sachet water? Then what do you do with the plastic? Therefore, I would suggest that social orientation, legislation, and concerted effort from all concerned should become the way forward. Because we must find a way to tell the rest of the world that yes, you cannot ban the use of plastic in your country, and yet you package everything in plastic and send to us in Africa. Unfortunately, a byproduct of this degradation of plastic, whether by incineration, open field burning, or by landfill disposal, is biphenyl, which has profound deleterious impact on aquatic life as well as consequences for human organs that encounter it, including some of the issues we have with our kidneys today. In conclusion, therefore, from the ongoing, reuse and recycling of plastic really do not have the capacity to remove the pollutants from the system. They can only reduce the volume being introduced, but they also reduce the quality of the plastic and make it susceptible to a fate, either in the landfill or open burning. The only way forward is to offer a total refusal of the plastic option. Let us legislate against it, against issues for packaging and storage. There are more sustainable and environmentally friendly options for packaging, storage, and transportation of various materials in our system. If I have succeeded in creating an awareness so that all of us can jointly begin to think about the way out of plastics, then I would have succeeded in my desire to share part of my afternoon with you today. Thank you for listening.